Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and one more G-Shock Casio video here lined up. This watch here was loaned in by Peter C. This is, I have this one in hand, and have the I wouldn't call it the original, but this is an earlier model with the resin. Figured I'd do a quick comparison video here with the metal and the resin bezel. This one here in the right hand is the GM2100-1A, and in the left hand we have the GA2110-8A. So before the minute hand gets any farther over that digital display, let's take a look at the positive and negative display. Looking at it by eye, the positive display is definitely much easier for me to pick up on, but that's not as easily seen on camera. On camera, the negative display does not look too bad to read at all, but definitely by eye, I can read the positive display much easier. See if I can tilt. Yeah, okay, there we go. If I tilt the watches here, kind of at the same angle, you can still read the positive display, but not the negative. This way, yep. Negative display kind of blocked out on me, and I can still read the positive. Minute hand's a bit in the way now, but so anyway, now that the minute hand's going to be covering those screens, we can talk about some other differences. Obviously, this has a metal bezel, and when I first picked this watch up, it felt really lightweight to me. But now that I have this one in hand and this one in hand, this does not feel as lightweight. This one is 72 grams, and then the all plastic, all resin is 51 grams. So that's a difference of 21 grams. It doesn't sound like a lot, but if you consider 21 grams is almost half the weight of this, I guess it would be about 40% of the weight of this, so makes a big difference. They both do have mineral crystal. It's not sapphire, but it is better than plastic, more scratch resistant than plastic. Yeah, I would like to have sapphire, but Casio doesn't do that for the G-Shocks unless you spend quite a bit. There's the titanium G-Shock Square. I know that has a sapphire crystal. I'm not sure what else does. So if you look at the dials on these, you would think that this has a metal dial, but it's actually a resin dial with metal applied to the resin dial by the vapor deposition process. You may have heard of PVD coatings that you can apply to watch cases or metal parts. That would be similar to what they're doing here, but they're applying it to resin instead of applying it to metal. This metal bezel does not fit on this watch, which I'm not sure why you'd want to do that anyway, but I have not tried it, but I have heard of other people trying it and it doesn't work. So similar construction where it's this carbon core case, and then you have basically the bezel is attached to that case through these screws. One on the left just regular old Phillips head, and then these here are hex head screws. So it looks better, but I'm sure it's more expensive as well. This is it's a fun looking watch. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's not terribly expensive. It's $200. Yeah, I know, $200 for a Casio, but it's a cool watch. I might actually consider buying one of these for myself. I don't know. I have too many watches, but maybe if it was a little bit smaller, I would buy one. And, well, I do own this watch. I'll probably sell it eventually, though. But anyway, you can see similar DNA. The indices look very similar. They have the date wheel there at the 9 o'clock position, or date pointer, whatever you want to call it. So it points to the day of the week. Digital displays have the same functions. So, and I call this the home screen. You see it has the time displayed there. And if I push the start button, it'll go to month and day. put that back to time, and then I'll hit the mode button. See, there we go. So this would be world time. Right now it's in Seoul, South Korea. Then we have the stopwatch function. Start it, stop, and then reset up here with the adjust button. Have the countdown timer, and then alarm function. Then back to the time screen. And this watch has all those same functions. Another difference is in the resin strap. On the G-Shock website, they call it a urethane strap. Maybe that's two different words for the same thing. I don't know. Like sometimes if you look at a watch with, with an acrylic crystal, some folks call it acrylic, some call it tessellite, some call it plexiglass. From what I found, it all basically means the same thing. But anyway, that was kind of a bit of a detour there, segue. So this has the resin, buckle, and tang, and then this one has the metal buckle and tang. I prefer metal, but actually the nice thing about resin is you can color match it to the strap in the case. And this bezel is a double molding process, so this portion or the other portion would be molded first, and then you would set this portion into the mold and then mold the other color around this portion here. So that's another thing too with this watch, is if you scratch it, you're still going to see the same color underneath that scratch. If you scratch metal, well, this one will be okay because it's stainless, but you see the scratch a lot easier on this. This one here, we have a mixture of brushed and polished surfaces. Yeah, it's a cool looking watch. So let me talk about the dimensions on both of these. Well, before that, we'll talk about the specs. They're both essentially the same watch. 200 meter water resistance, shock resistant. Both have 3-year battery life with the SR726W battery, which it takes 2 of that battery. I can almost change the straps on these. I don't know if I'll try that or not. Yeah, I'll try it in a minute actually. Mineral glass, carbon and resin case. All right, so let's talk about the dimensions. This one here, we're looking at 48.5 lug to lug, and this one is 49.3 lug to lug, so a little bit bigger of a case, I guess. And these measurements are from the Casio G-Shock website, but I also verified them myself, and they're spot on. Okay, case diameter on this, 44.4, and then this one here, we're looking at 45.4. Thickness is exactly the same on these at 11.8. But something interesting I noticed is the mineral crystal on this one is almost flush with that bezel. It's subflush just a little bit. And then this one here, it's down quite a bit more as compared to this bezel. But they're both the same thickness. I guess I can see that the rehaut on the metal one is a little bit taller, I guess. But anyway, just something I noticed. And I mentioned the weight, 51 grams here and then 72 grams here. All right, let me, I'll change these straps real quick and then I'll get them on wrist. I'll just change the bottom one just for the fun of it. Hopefully I don't mess up Peter's watch. It should be okay. Yeah, it's quick release, but it's still easy to use. This tool here. Man, I gotta change. Looks like I gotta change the forks on this. One of these days I'll buy a decent spring bar tool. Oh, Peter is selling this watch, by the way. I'll leave that in the description. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. I guess if I mess it up, I'll buy it from him. Quick release isn't so quick sometimes. Let me pause it. I got to do it closer to my face. Alright, I got them swapped over. I figured I might as well just change both of them since I'm here and I paused the video. So I'll put both of these on wrist and then pause the video and switch them back over. But yeah, these look kind of cool. So if you want to buy a handful of these, you can mix and match this the straps. I keep thinking of the word swap. Swap the straps, swap the bezels, have some fun with it. I have a video, probably one of my better videos, or more viewed videos, where I took a stealth and a camouflage one and swapped the bezels around on that. So that came out pretty good. But anyway, here, just get you an idea how this looks. I think it looks pretty good, actually. The black straps with the gray, and then we have the metal bezel with the gray straps. The gray straps not quite as dark as the dial on this, but it looks kind of close. So let me know what you guys think of this bracelet swap. Strap swap, sorry, not bracelet. So anyway, let me get both of these on wrist and then we'll switch them back over. Yeah, these are fun watches to play around with. I mean, quite a few Casios are fun to own and switch things around. Before I started doing the YouTube thing, I always wondered why people bought, you can buy all different kinds of limited editions, special editions of these G-Shocks, but now I'm starting to understand the fun of these. All right, so there we go. I'll zoom out real quick too. Got my chicken scratching there. Yeah, I think actually I think this looks pretty good. All right, let's get the other one on wrist. Black and gray looks good too. I think black and gray pretty much go with anything, but I don't know. I'm not much for color coordinating. But yeah, I think this looks good too. So this strap is a little more premium than the other strap. Let me get these swapped back around and we'll take a look at the straps here. Oh, let me zoom back in. I can show you the straps right now before I forget. So just, of course, keep in mind this strap belongs on the other watch here. But you can see this kind of a crosshatch pattern here, or a checkered pattern here, I guess. The materials feel the same to me. They feel just as stiff. So I would imagine it's the same material, just with a different pattern on the strap here. So also it's interesting to see that the holes in the strap are a little bit different too. Let's take a look at the buckle and tang again. I'm not sure why those cutouts are like that, but anyway. Oh yeah, so you have the holes here to match the other strap, and this one doesn't have that. So, all right, let me pause the video and we'll swap these back around and I'll put them on wrist again, and then we can check out the Loom. Actually, speaking of the Loom, these both do have LED lights down here at what is that, 3, 4, between the 4 and 5 o'clock. But this one has a little bit of a shelf here to kind of cover that light. Let me turn that on. So it has that little shelf there. And this one doesn't have that shelf. Or maybe it does. I guess it does. It's just harder to see it. I didn't notice that at first. So, okay. I was going to point out the differences, but I guess they're the same. So, just something to note there. Alright, I'll be right back. I'm going to swap the straps back around. Alright, we got the bracelets back on the correct watches. So let me put both of these on wrist, and then we'll check out the Loom. They both have the same, well, the LED light I just showed you, and then also the digital display has a EL backlight, electroluminescent. So here's the gray one on the wrist. Yeah, I still think they look just a little bit too big on my wrist. I would like to try they have one that's a little bit smaller, a few millimeters smaller in diameter and lug width. So $200 versus basically $100, depending on which other one you get with the resin bezel. Let me know which one you guys prefer. I'd like to see what other colors this one comes in. I kind of prefer the metal bezel with the resin strap. It's not very thick either. All right, we'll zoom in, and then right after this, again, we'll check out the Loom. Definitely makes the negative display easier to see when you apply the back light. All right, we'll be right back with the Loom. Well, I noticed something interesting when I was charging these with the UV light, but looking at it now, I don't see the difference. So let me see if I can show you this on the camera. Yeah, the gray one, the hands are blue with the UV light, and then the metal one, the handset is green. I don't really see that by eye. Interesting. But it looks like the Loom is better on the gray one, which I would expect to be better on the metal bezel one since it's more expensive, twice the price. Anyway, there is some Loom applied to the handsets. Let me see if I can turn both of these on at the same time. Yeah, I would say the gray one's easier to see with the backlight. But the indices on the metal bezel are shiny. So, very interesting to see the difference between these two watches. I think it's definitely a good move by Casio to offer this metal bezel, especially when there's a lot of folks, well, they probably still are modifying, but there's a metal bezel you can buy for this one. I bought one maybe a year ago. I since sold that watch. I think they're about $50 on AliExpress. I don't remember. I haven't looked at it in a while. But anyway, that will conclude today's video. As always, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Sorry about the length of the video. Kind of went a little longer than I was expecting, but I wasn't planning on swapping around the bracelets, but I'm glad I did. Sorry, swapping the straps. Nice to see how changing the straps really affects the look of these watches. So anyway, that will do it for today. Catch you guys on the next video.